already invested in Bitcoin?
Nah. We're buying a house. That's the real investment.
Breaking news. Bitcoin hits a new all-time high to save, the most profitable asset of the millennium.
Yeah, but you can't live in your Bitcoin, dumbass.
Kids, this is it. We finally did it. This is our house, our generational wealth. This is better than Bitcoin. This is our retirement account. It's only going up from here.
Honey, the faucet's dripping again.
Relax, it's just a damn washer. I watched the video.
Oh, come on. Why is this even connected to the dishwasher?
Told you I'd fix it. Leaks fear me.
Bitcoin's pumping again. Wish I wasn't blowing so much fixing this house.
That's not mold. That's patina. They charge extra for that in France.
Why pay a guy when I can fix it myself?
It's all right. We'll fix the roof. Property values always go up. That's how we get rich.
Honey, how are we supposed to get rich if we can't even sell it?
You too now? Mortgage, repairs, HOA, taxes. Did we even live this month?
I wish there was a way to buy Bitcoin with the money I've already put into the house.
Such a true story. So true. Hopefully everybody has had a good week. Probably not if you own any kind of treasury whatsoever. But I think things are going to get better. We've got SWC up 10% across the pond in the UK. We've got MetaPlanet suspending their ATM until the 30th of September. There's a lot of good things happening in those fronts. And we have our boy Fundstrat talking about Uptimber here, which I'm very excited about. And he even reposted my post from this morning talking about how he agrees with what I've been saying for the last few weeks, that there is a contrarian view where September will be an up month due to the Fed cut. And he talks about the 1998 and 2024 Fed rate cuts, which we're going to go over. I want you guys to understand what he's talking about here. So we'll be talking about that. We'll actually maybe jump into that video right now, since our boy Tom Lee is so awesome and lets us do this. Let me make sure I have the right one. Yep. Okay. So this is talking about a little bit about what he said in his video yesterday that some of you didn't see if you don't subscribe. So if you have the money to, definitely recommend it. Let's go ahead and get started and watch this video. It's about 5 minutes.
Good evening, FS Insight family and community. Today is Tuesday, September 2nd, and this is our Macro Minute. As you know, investors are wary about the month of September because historically, September and October are some of the toughest months of the year. But I'm going to give you a contrarian consensus view. Contrary to consensus view, we expect September to be an up month, and I'll explain. Let me first start with the base case. September started off down for the first day, and as we highlight here, since 1950, that really doesn't have much of an effect. That whether you're up or down on the first day of September, it's still a tough month overall, and actually up only 47% of the time. And of course, people are worried about seasonality because that's really the time when the VIX starts to turn up, and we've already seen that. In just the last few days, the VIX has gone from 14 to 17. Although, as you can see, the VIX was higher at the start of August. And actually, if you zoom out, the current VIX level is pretty much where it's been all year. But here's the reason we think September's an up month. It's because the Fed's been on hold all year, and then they're cutting in September. That's only happened 2 other times in the last 50 years, 1998 and 2024. And in both times, markets did pretty well. Let's take a look at that. If you look at the returns over those 2 previous periods, 1998 and 2024, you can see that the S&P was up 3.3% on average and up 100% of the time. So that's good. So in other words, two of the two times the Fed was on hold all year and cut in September, the market was positive. And we can take a look at this on the chart.
I would also argue real quickly, I don't want to interrupt my boy Tom, but I would argue that we've also never been in this environment where we're really pro-growth, deregulation, and working to stimulate the economy, reducing taxes, just, really kind of throwing everything we can into the fire.
The Fed on hold in both 1998 and 2024, and then they started their cutting cycle. And as you can see, in 1998, the S&P was up 6% for the month of September, and in 2024, up 2%. So much better than the historical average returns for September. Okay, so that gets us through September seasonals, which I think aren't going to be as bad as people think. This week is an important week. There's a ton of macro, and it maybe starts with the tariffs because late last week, a district court struck down Trump's tariffs.
I just want to add 2 cents into here. Normally, we wouldn't see any kind of conclusion to this until probably 2026. But it looks like Trump is looking for an expedited process with the Supreme Court in order to be able to make a ruling sooner than later. The bears might think that this is the end of the world for the tariff revenue, which is approaching $400 billion annual revenue right now, reoccurring revenue. At least that's our current run rate. They might think it's the end of the world for that, but I would argue that he's not looking for an expedited ruling because he thinks that he doesn't have the judicial high ground. The odds are, I would say, at least 2-1 that he's going to win.
And of course, now it puts a lot of folks in limbo. But as you know, the administration is continuing to argue that these tariffs are not only important, but it's important from a diplomatic perspective. And then in terms of data this week, we got ISM manufacturing for August today. It was kind of in line, but the key thing to remember is that we now have 31 months below 50, and we've never had a bull market peak when the ISM's been below 50. On Wednesday, we get 3 data points: the July jolts, durable goods, and the September Fed beige book. And that's going to be interesting. There's a lot of color and anecdotes about business conditions. On Thursday, a ton of data again, including claims, but I think the focus here might be the unit labor costs. And of course, on Friday is the jobs report. There is Fed speak as well. And that gets us to the sectors. We want to stick with the AI and crypto trade, which is the Mag 7, Bitcoin, and Ethereum. Now, NVIDIA has been down. It got hit hard the last 3 days, down almost 10%. And part of this has to do with Alibaba announcing that they've created an AI chip.
That is such bullshit. Whatever.
To compete with NVIDIA's H20 chip. But NVIDIA is pulling back to support. And Mark Newton thinks that you're going to actually have a rally after you pull back into support. And just keep in mind, there still is only one NVIDIA. It is still the singular company that anybody doing AI needs to buy a chip from. And as far as Ethereum, I think this is still one of the most compelling opportunities into year end. And first of all, this is the monthly chart of Ethereum since 2018. But here you can see there are 2 bases, and Ethereum just recently hit an all-time high. But as you know, according to the Wyckoff methodology, the bigger the base, the bigger the breakout, because there's a lot of potential energy that's built up. And as you can see in that first base in 2020, led to a 54 times rise in Ethereum from $90 to $4,900. This current base is bottomed at $13.85. So where is the upside from here? I don't know if it's 54 times, but again, just look at the base and the break.
It's probably like 10 at best.
Out. And we still like industrials, financials, small caps. They're really tied to a dovish Fed, which is again September 17th in the middle of this month. And of course, small caps and Ethereum are moving together because of a dovish Fed. So stay on target, and just keep in mind this is the most hated V-shaped rally.
And it will continue to be. Yes, I did add MetaPlanet. I think I got less than 100K in it. A lot of that came from Liquid, was one that I dumped out of. I like they just haven't been doing a good job managing the money that's been coming in, and they haven't been aggressive with their purchases. I did sell a little bit of SWC too, but I do think I actually ended up buying back into it as well, because if you just look here, SWC got utterly crushed yesterday. So it had a day where it was down 33% from the previous. And then you can see from that level, the 112 level, it rocketed up a ton to 149. So if I did a little bit of buying with this, but if somebody had a lot of capital, they could have made a quick 30% upside if they bought that bottom. So I do think I think it got pretty wiped out yesterday, and today in the UK, it's up about 14% in the pre-market here. So again, it looks like the UK version is getting a bounce as well. So I do think a lot of these have washed out. Again, with Metaplanet, the fact that they've suspended their ATM for a month, that should help the MNAV climb higher and get rid of sell pressure. I will say this, it does look like, why did my monitor? Oh, weird. It does look like Metaplanet in the Japanese market dumped last night. But again, that was before the 3rd. And so they might have been tapping the ATM one last time here. But without them hitting the ATM, it should help a lot as far as their ability to go higher. I probably actually will need to adjust this on the Japanese market and put it as a bottom for yesterday, but I'll wait to get confirmation from that. But yeah, I do think that these treasury companies are finally wiping out, and I think that's going to be a really positive thing for markets. And it's awesome too to get some validation from Tom Lee, just showing that he believes that September could be an up month too. Real quickly, I want to listen to Treasury Secretary Bessent talking about tariffs and how much they're going to contribute to GDP.
You're starting to see in the mainstream media, whether it's Wall Street Journal or the New York Times, that even the other side or the super free market people are getting addicted to tariff income. I've been saying 300 billion, but I think it could be much higher. Every 300 billion is 1% of GDP. We got left with a mess in terms of the deficit to GDP, the highest ever when we weren't in a recession, weren't at war. So just with the tariff income, we're going to be in the 5s, which is incredible. Like that's like running a marathon and starting 5 miles before everybody else.
See, that's such a key thing to understand, is that how much of a contribution to GDP that we're looking at. And then if you see lowered rates, and then you have the tax incentives, you have the deregulation, you have the ability to modify the supplemental leverage ratio. You have all these things to do to implement, yield curve control to pull down the long end rates. I think people are underestimating what the U.S. economy is capable of, and they're comparing it to other countries like the UK that are just fucked, and Japan that are fucked with their bond markets. We're not in the same boat. I'm sorry, we're just not. The CFOX says, to be fair, Tom Lee thinks every month will be an up month. He's a bull. He's probably one of the best analysts in the last decade, so I think that's kind of an unfair thing to say. Also, if you do any research into Tom Lee, you'll understand that he had, when he worked for JP Morgan, a small little company, I don't know if anybody's heard of it, he was pulling back on ICO offerings and listings, a complete contrarian at the time for everybody that was just like, dude, just get another one, because they were making just tons and tons of money, and he started to turn down deals, and he turned bearish before a lot of people at the dot-com bubble. So I don't know. He has a pretty good history of calling the tops of markets, and he gives you data that tells you why he's bullish. And I've done this as well, right? I gave you data showing that August was actually a really bad month for Bitcoin, and that normally it does really, really well. I mean, up to 70% upside in the month of August, and this time it didn't do as good. And so, if anything, that tells me that there's a higher likelihood that we'll catch up in September. So I think he's just simply looking at some of the same things we're looking at. And there are times when he's bearish. It's just not right now, and it doesn't make sense to be bearish right now. So, in all fairness to Tom Lee, I hate it when people call him a permabull. I don't think that's true. I do think he's an optimist, though, and I find that optimists are the ones that make money in markets. They just are. If you're bearish and you're a pessimist, and the market 90% of the time is up and to the right, like, good luck fucking making money. Yeah. So anyway, my point is just that I think it's important to realize that being an optimist is actually a superpower. I can tell you this: after 2017, when Bitcoin went up to almost 20,000 and then went down to 3, if you weren't an optimist like me, you didn't stay in the game, and you certainly didn't lever in at that time. And again, more recently here, when we went up to 69-ish thousand and then dropped back down to 15, if you weren't an optimist, you probably weren't buying Bitcoin at 15,000. So I don't know. I think he does a really good job, and I think he gives you good reasons for it too. And this is exciting. 5% GDP growth is a fucking huge number. Also, JC Peretz said, raise your hand if you think this bull market ends with Dow Transports not breaking out. And I mean, what he's saying is it's going to break out. It's going to break out. I mean, look over here at this consolidation zone. We had a breakout. Look over here at this consolidation zone. We had a breakout. Look over here at this consolidation zone. What's the next step? It's a breakout. So be as bearish as you want to be. I think that's the wrong move. Also, one of the key things I wanted to talk about from yesterday's economic data, there's a few things that we should probably talk about, but one of the key things is for the month of August, we had a surprise beat to the upside at 51.4 points from 47.10 in July. This is fascinating because, again, this is a time where everything's supposed to be falling apart because of tariffs. And instead, we're seeing an upside beat to positive territory, expansion territory. Anything above 50 is expansion. Under that is contraction. And so we're seeing manufacturing expand. Seems kind of cool to see that. Also, though, some other things that I found interesting. So we did have ISM manufacturing prices for August. We expected 65.3. We had a forecast of 65.5. Our previous was 64.8. It came in at 63.7. I think that's good. Right? Having prices be actually lower than people expected was good. Construction spending came in pretty much it came in at consensus and slightly below forecast. ISM manufacturing for August, the PMI, 48.7 versus a 48 previously. 49 consensus, but the forecast was only 48.2. So again, I say that's slightly positive as well. And then manufacturing PMI final was 53 versus a 49.8 in July. And it was slightly lower than consensus. But this all looked really good to me, guys. I saw really great data yesterday. And if anything, I'm even more excited about this. It's the RCM TIP Economic Optimism Index. I like it when sentiment is the opposite of what I think is going to happen. So what did we see here? We saw sentiment come in worse than expected. Previous was 50.9. Consensus was 51.8. Forecast was 51. We got a 48.7. So I like that people are bearish. They're not optimistic at a time where new orders are looking really positive and manufacturing prices are lower than expected. I think all that's good stuff. Again, we've been seeing tons of data, guys, from the European area, which is the European Union. PPI, what did it have? Their producer prices index. Year over year, 0.2% versus a consensus of 0.1 and a forecast of 0.3. This does not seem like out of control prices. If you jump into this and just look at Max, look at this. If anything, like the heartbeat is dead here. It's amazing that we're not bouncing higher after this just crazy uptick and then drop. We're barely getting into positive territory. We're definitely under the run rate of the last several decades going back to the 80s, right? If we look at the average up here, we're underneath of it. So this doesn't scream inflation to me in any way. And that's how a lot of it looks. So I don't know. I'm feeling pretty positive. Today, we don't have a lot. We have Jolt's job openings. It won't be till 9. I'll be gone by then. Factory orders, month over month, and transportation. Jolt's job quits. That's about it. We got some Feds talking, like Tom was talking about. That's pretty much it. Now, if we look at the CME Fed Watch tool, real quickly here, we'll see that we're at a 91.7% chance of at least one Fed rate cut in September. So I think that's pretty likely. I really do. Let's see here. JT says, that's why I don't totally sell out unless data shows otherwise. Temporarily blips happen. Yeah, you don't want to get on the wrong side of a trade. It's very easy to do that. Let's check real quickly on the CME Fear and Greed Index, see how we're sitting there. This is the stock market Fear and Greed Index. We're in neutral territory. I love that that's reset. I think that's actually great. Also, if we look at the crypto side of things, with using the coin market crypto Fear and Greed Index, we have just climbed out of fear into the low end of neutral. So this is a much better place, I think, to be bouncing off of right now. Let's keep going down the list here. We already talked about this, just the fact that if you look at this, you could see that the last 2 rate cuts that where we had held on to the rate for at least a year, we had a dip. We had like a jump in 1998 going into the rate cut. Then it dropped. But then again, a month later, it was just boom, up and to the right in a huge way. This is the S&P. And then 2024 was a little bit different. After the rate cut, we dropped. Or I think before the rate cut. Yeah, before the rate cut, we dropped, running into it. And then again, up and to the right, a little bit less inclined. But still, good stuff. I love that we're neutral fear, up and away. Yeah, no, I think it's a great place. It's a nice reset. House price index. We've talked about this for a while, right? How house prices are going to continue to fall. I believe that as rates fall, which they're going to, because again, the government has a lot of tools in their war chest to be able to do that, and we'll talk about some of them in a second. I believe that on top of that, we'll continue to see these house prices come down. Liz Ann Saunders was saying, hey, this is contracted for a 3rd consecutive month in June. That hasn't happened since 2011, after the great financial crisis, well afterwards. So this is pretty dramatic, the fact that prices are coming down. She also said, as a share of total import value, imports from China account for most tariff revenue right now per PIEE or IIE. And so if you look over here again, you can see Japan is a large part of that, South Korea, and then it's got the overall world sitting underneath of there. I don't know if that's just everybody else. And then EU, Mexico, Canada, right? And and it looks like Mexico is looking to tariff China now too in a big way. It's exciting times. Kevin Gordon, it has been 955 days since the Russell 2000 small caps, otherwise known as IWM if you're looking at an ETF, was last at a record high, which means the streak is now longer than the one after the financial crisis and now the longest since 2004. So we've got a 21-year streak for the weakest performance in small caps at a time where we're getting ready to lower rates, which dramatically impacts small caps in a positive way. Because if anybody's feeling undue stress, it's small companies that have rolled over debt 4 years ago at the beginning of the pandemic when rates dropped to the lowest rate in history, or by the most aggressive in history, and to literally almost zero. They termed out their debt, right? And they used PPP programs in order to be able to make it to where they could survive. Well, we've seen bankruptcies go up, and a lot of those are the PPP loan people that just deserve to die. And they have. Here, I'm just going to push this up a little bit. And they have died. And then there's others that don't deserve to die that are just struggling because the economic environment is overly tight. And they're going to have an opportunity to survive, which I think is a good thing. I wanted to talk about this too. Good morning, Stoney. What's up, buddy? So I said, people think this is over. And I put, you're so dumb. And why did I say that? I said, Bitcoin ETFs equal fastest growing growth in history, right? These ETFs have the fastest growth in history. any ETF, dwarfing gold. Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency, implemented and still is automating and creating efficiencies throughout our government. People don't give them credit. Again, I know Elon Musk was looking to just do massive cuts, all these things right away, and making some big promises and probably overly optimistic. But you can't ignore the fact that we've gotten rid of entire organizations like USAID that were literally just I should say this, just stamps that were used constantly to filter out billions of dollars and tens of billions of dollars without even a reason code or a description of what the money was going to and why. It's insanity. We fixed all those things. If you guys remember the retirement process and the mountain where there was all this paperwork for people that worked in Washington. And if you were retired, they had to literally, it could take a month or two to move all the paperwork through the mountain and process all of it. And all those things have been fixed. I think the CEO of Airbnb is the one that helped fix that. There are still really positive things happening all throughout our government that are creating areas of efficiency. We're talking about using blockchain for reporting of data and greater transparency. These are all really good things. Also, Operation Choke Point, which was killing crypto and Bitcoin, is dead. Beautiful bill passed, creating lower tax environment for many, including me. You know what I found out? I found out that when you guys give me a tip, it actually I will be in a better taxed environment because a tip on YouTube. Not that anybody should tip, but if you want to, a tip on YouTube will actually go towards that too. And so I'll be able to keep more of that money, which is freaking awesome. We've got a pro-Bitcoin SEC and CFTC now that are in place. We've got the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve that was established via an executive order that we're looking to fund. We got the Genius Act for stablecoins that passed. We've got Ethereum starting to blow up from stablecoin adoption, sitting above its previous breakout zone of a 4.5-year sideways chop. It's amazing. We got Trump's family investing their fortunes into ETH, Bitcoin, and more. We got almost all of Trump's cabinets pro-Bitcoin. We got Trump getting countries and companies to invest in America or give to our strategic investment fund. What I mean by that, just the stuff with Intel and NVIDIA. On top of, again, hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars of funds that are coming into America that Trump will make sure come into America in order to be able to reinvest and get it to where people are building here again. And tariffs are generating the largest revenues in U.S. history. Again, on pace for, I think, about $400 billion if you look out a year. Trump is winning almost all of his legal battles. And I said, and we still have the following things to look forward to and tools in our war chest. We have lower interest rates in front of us. The Fed's getting ready to drop them in September. We've got the supplemental leverage ratio that we can modify to increase liquidity and get banks lending even more. We've got, that will help drive down rates and get banks lending more. We can revalue gold to access even more liquidity. We can sell rights and lease land and other resources that are untapped. We have the strategic reserve getting ready to stack. We haven't done that yet. We've got productivity improvements from AI adoption. Then we've got autonomy and robotics starting to ramp to mass adoption faster than I could ever have dreamed. And that's not even including all the genomic stuff and all these proteins and the fact that we believe that within 10 years, really smart people that have been overly conservative on their previous estimates believe that in 10 years, we will have a pill you can take to reverse aging. It's just fucking insane. This is such a positive time. And then RH said DATS, all these treasury companies, he goes, even though the MNAVs are down recently, also, many cash flow rich businesses have to reassess their options under lower interest rate regimes. Treasuries, buybacks, or BTC, or all of it. A lot of buying pressure coming, possibly supply crunch. I agree with that. It's very smart. Can't believe I forgot that one. There's probably more. Iron up 5% in pre-market. Iron has done really good. And I don't know what the cap is. I know technically it looks like it's getting closer to it. Why do I say that? There's just this trend line going up. That starts to become resistance normally. And the trend line goes back to, 2022. So it's an old one. Not that it can't hop above it. It could do that. but it's done really well. It's done really well. Now, if the fundamentals still look beautiful, it'll just keep going. Fundamentals usually win. Narrative could change. I saw some people changing their price targets on it and saying that it's starting to get top heavy. It is above the .618 golden retracement zone, but could it still go to 34? Could it even break out to 44? Sure. I think that other miners are probably going to start outperforming it, though, just because it's done so fucking good. I mean, it's up almost 500% since the bottom in April. So if you owned Iron, you did really well. I did really well. I think I got 250% off of it, maybe a little bit more, but I didn't capture the full thing. Definitely not going to lie. Did not capture the full thing. We need to survive the next 10 years, boys and girls. Yeah, exactly. Like that's literally my goal. Get fit, get healthy. Life is going to be ridiculous. I put more problems for Lisa Cook. Safe to say she's probably not coming back to the Fed. If true, real Donald Trump will have influence over the Fed. So again, she has a third property. She put down primary mortgage on all of the properties. She did this over a very short period of time. It's blatant mortgage fraud. And this woman she shouldn't even have her position. She got it because she was black. Let's just be real. She's very much a DEI hire. You can go through and look at all the stuff. She just basically kept getting promoted throughout her history because of the color of her skin. And that's actually a pretty common thing. If you look at a lot lately, I think it was the IRS and maybe another organization, 6% of the applicants were black women. 25% of the people hired were black women. That's a 5X. That's a 5X. So, I mean, just blatant racism, right? This woman's gone. And the thing that I want to put out here is if she's gone, Trump has control of the Fed, and you need to realize that. My buddy Jeff Park, again, Jeff is cool. He's affiliated with BRRR, Burr, the Columbus Circle group, I think it is, that Anthony Pompliano is associated with. These guys still can't do anything until the merger completes. But I think they're great. I think he's brilliant. Again, he's affiliated with Bitwise Investment. He worked at Morgan Stanley. He went to Stanford. These are all really high credentials. Anyway, this post says, as a result, the U.S. is starting a path to achieve the holy grail of fiat alchemy, lower dollar and lower yield. This is a beautiful thing because the lower dollar makes it to where we're going to be able to export more of our goods and get it to where we're competitive with the rest of the world. So we like a lower dollar. Lower dollar also makes it to where our debts are cheaper for other people that have debt denominated in U.S. dollars. So other foreign countries that use the U.S. dollar are benefiting from this as well as their debt gets cheaper. But having a lower dollar and lower yield is really what you want. It's the sweet spot. So let's read the rest of this. This brings me to my second point. I have shared before that Trump's number one goal is to lower the 10-year rate. The reason being that his own bags depend upon it, real estate. His obsession with Powell cutting short-term rates, then realizing it's not working, is the catalyst. Never doubt the uncomplicated incentives of the transparently profit-motivated and align yourself next to him. Mark my words, the 10-year is going to go down, whatever it takes. I 100% agree with that. Long Investor has been really, really right, but I wanted to say something here. He said, I believe the market can hit extreme greed just before the Fed cuts rates in the middle of September, and then selling begins until the end of October. I actually completely disagree with that. That is not how the market cycle works, at least within the Bitcoin and crypto world. I don't know if he's just specifically talking about stocks, but I said I'm calling for the opposite based upon seasonality and under the pressure valve of lower rates. Here's the thing, though. I do think maybe we go up a little bit into rates, then maybe we dump a hair after that. But in the Bitcoin and altcoin space, October is a beautiful month, so I'm going to disagree on that. Credit card delinquencies tick higher. So what do I have to say about this? This is another key reason why we need to lower rates, because then people can look at other methods in order to be able to consolidate their debt at lower interest rates because of the increased liquidity that lower rates and modification of the SLR ratio would give. So all I'm saying here is, from what I'm seeing anecdotally, and you guys tell me in chat if you're seeing anything like it, I'm getting a bunch of credit card offers now for 0% offers, and some of them are only a year, but they're starting to get longer. They're usually 5% fees, but if they're 21 months or 18 months at a 5% fee, that's really turns into like a 3% fee or maybe a hair less. So these aren't bad deals. That's going to happen even more, though, if the Fed modifies the supplemental leverage ratio, because banks are going to have the green light to buy a bunch of U.S. treasuries and issue debt. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that. I think this is going to help the bottom 1/3 of the economy, which desperately need it. You guys have to remember, hopefully I've been quoting this right. I'll quote it right now. 38% of households in the United States own their houses free and clear. There's over $10 trillion or close to $10 trillion in equity for people that have their houses paid off. Maybe it's probably estimated between like somewhere 7 and 10. Let's take the low end, 8 million or something, or 8 trillion. Think about that. Think about how much the richest top over 1/3 of the nation has in spending power. If their homes are paid off, 24-month 0% with 1% fee in Canada. Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. But yeah, think about how much money people talk about money markets, the $7-8 trillion sitting on the sidelines waiting to buy the dip. What about the $8 trillion in people that have their houses completely paid off? How much buying power do they have that they can access as rates are coming down? I think it's a lot. Not be humble, not 100% true, Jesse. The IRS has not released the industries that will qualify for the tip exemption. For example, it could very well just be bartenders and no, that's not true. That's not true. I literally have a post. I'll see if I can find it. You're wrong. Let's see here. We need to survive the next 10 years. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, let's keep going. Maybe they are rich for a reason, the S&P index. Yeah, okay. Oh, wait, this is old. Oh, yeah, here we go. I got some good ones from my buddy Ryan Detrick. It says, they keep telling us that breadth is getting weaker. Checks data. No, this isn't true. More stocks are advancing on the New York Stock Exchange this year than the past few years, and it's increasing each year lately as well. So again, if you just look over here, it's getting higher. The breadth is getting higher. The breadth is getting higher. The breadth is getting higher. Really, since 2022, the low of the breadth. That marked, I believe, the end of a bear market. Again, Meta was down 75%. Tesla was down 75%. Palantir was down 75%. Robinhood was down 75%. What the fuck wasn't down massively and by the end of 2022, right? And since then, we've seen expansion. I think that's good. Jesse, we're entering a lower interest rate environment in the near future. Do you think stocks like Rocket Mortgage or Loan Depot could be good investments given the potential? I think maybe. I do agree with Tom Lee, too, that SoFi and these other companies are going to be doing better. SoFi really hasn't had a good mortgage lending business at all, and that's getting ready to change. So I think they could do a lot better. Yeah, he was talking about credit card promos. Yes, I was. Yeah, exactly. Yes, thank you. Yep, just promos. I was talking about promos. Promos are a good example of willingness to lend. Again, I told you guys that at the beginning of the year, I tried to do some balance transfer offers like I've done for decades. And it was the worst market I'd ever seen. It was like great financial crisis stuff. With an 830-ish credit score on average, couldn't get balance transfer offers. I was getting denied like crazy. Even though, again, my credit was beautiful and the reasons were just shit. And sometimes there were 5, 6, 7 reasons that were thrown onto it, which made no sense at all. But now I'm getting offers like crazy. So I'm just saying, I think some things are changing. I think we're opening up and lending standards are getting easier already, and they're only going to get better. August 29th, I wanted to talk to this. We had the highest GDP growth rate quarter over quarter since Q3 of 2023. I looked at this one before, but again, I just wanted to reiterate that we're seeing high GDP growth rates and that we're likely to see more of that. Also, Scott Bessent said that Trump may declare a national housing emergency this fall to address soaring prices. I want to see if that has the description in here from Grok on what all that means. From what I understand, they're talking about, like, again, helping with lumber prices and just a bunch of other stuff. But I wonder what else this could entail. Nah, it doesn't really say. Oh, here we go. Move spurred 19% rise in U.S. rents. Again, we know rents are coming down. We know shelter is coming down. Besant's proposal to ease regulations and prioritize construction materials like lumber, steel aligns with economic theories suggesting supply-side interventions can address price surges. Through a 2020 study, the Journal of Urban Economics warns that such measures may take 2 to 5 years to stabilize. I don't think we're going to wait that long. And I also want to point this out, though. I don't think lumber is that crazy. We're seeing a little bit of a resurgence here in energy. But again, if we just look at some of these numbers, guys, a lot of this has been down. It's been ethanol that's been up for the year, and uranium. Everything else has been down in the energy side of things. And let's look here. More recently in the metals world, it's platinum, silver, and gold that are all jumping year to date. But what isn't jumping year to date? Silicon isn't jumping year to date. Steel is down 7.58%. Iron ore is down. So it's interesting. Actual materials for building, for the most part, are down. And then even HRC steel that they use for skyscrapers has started to drop in the last month. But I want to look at something here. Lumber. So again, lumber is already interesting. Look at this. And I don't know if lumber price. I think this is just because of a slowdown in construction. But look at this. Look at this. Look at the drop we saw again in lumber prices. We're at the lowest lumber prices, guys, since December of 2024, and really it looks like October of 2024. Lumber prices are not inflationary right now at all. Goham says the delinquency rate on U.S. commercial real estate backs. Yeah, that's been that way for years. Who cares? Who cares? So, guys, I want to be really clear. There's always doomers out there. The commercial real estate market is fucking nothing. It's fucking nothing. It is a fraction of the size right now. The commercial real estate lending market, that market is a fraction of the size of residential real estate. It is not a great financial crisis worthy thing at all. And again, if rates come down, then these buildings will be more sustainable. So that problem also is getting fixed with lower rates. So just, again, don't get scared off. Be the optimist. Be the optimist. Don't get scared off by every stupid fucking thing you see. Because a lot of it is just a waste of fucking energy. Here's another one from Seth. He said, S&P has achieved 20 all-time highs in 2025. When the S&P has achieved 20 new all-time highs, it has never stopped there, and always 100 achieved at least 2 more new all-time highs in the calendar year. Probability of new highs by year end is about 91%. I'm trying to see what else I got here. Every nation is printing, devaluing its currency, nuking all fiat savers. Bitcoin will pump so hard. It's time to strap on your diapers and get ready. China has been a huge contribution to global money supply. I agree with that, and I think that's only going to increase. China is getting ready to do massive money printing. You got to remember, too, at the new year they do that, but they're desperate. They're super desperate right now, and they're going to continue to do more. I wanted to pull up a couple more here. Ryan Detrick, we were told this summer we would see a recession and a bear market. Instead, we just had one of the best summer rallies ever. Looking at the best 10 summer rallies ever, the rest of the year was higher 8 out of 10 times, so an 80% chance that we're higher. Foreign central banks now own more gold than the U.S. treasuries for the first time in almost 30 years. I don't think this is really any major indication whatsoever. Again, U.S. treasuries are doing better than a lot of other treasuries around the world. Lozen, I don't know, Jesse. I went to Home Depot because I'm building a veggie garden, and 3 weeks ago, and lumber prices went up. Yeah, that doesn't mean shit. What a company like Home Depot is willing to pass on to the customer isn't necessarily the actual cost of lumber. This is U.S. dollars to one. And again, where does this come from? Where does this come from? Let's see. Do we have the descriptor down here? Lumber is a wood process. The biggest producers in lumber are concentrated in the Baltic Sea region in North America. The futures contract traded on Chicago Mercantile Exchange specifies that the lumber must be manufactured in certain U.S. and Canadian provinces. Lumber prices displayed in trading economics are based over the counter and contract for difference CFD financial instruments where market prices are intended to provide you with a reference only rather than the basis for market trading decisions. So again, you can have markups at a place like Home Depot. Maybe they're still selling a lot of wood and they've got a larger price doesn't mean shit. Lumber prices are at a really good rate right now. If you go back, let's just go back here, 25 years, we're at lumber prices, guys, that are the equivalent of 2018. I'd say that's a lot better than the 1,500 USD per 1,000 feet. We're paying 1/3 of that now. So again, these prices aren't bad. Jesse, what's your end of the? I don't know about end of the year. End of the year, it could plummet, but I think that it can get to at least. I believe if you're super conservative, the 7,000s is a really good price. If you're less conservative, it's 10. If you're not that conservative at all, it's 15. I'm saying you can get your wood for pretty cheap, and it's not really. It doesn't hold that much value. That's what I'm saying. All right. All right, let's keep going. Reminder, real Donald Trump has control of the Fed soon. If when Cook leaves is fired, Trump will have the majority on the Fed. And again, here's the UK bond market collapsing. I actually thought this was great because if the UK bond market is collapsing and people are looking for an opportunity to invest in Bitcoin, SWC could benefit greatly from that. We'll see if they do. Here's what I'm not sure of. The only thing, SWC is my biggest Bitcoin treasury right now. The only thing that I'm really worried about with them is whether or not they're going to be able to be uplisted on the London Stock Exchange. Normally the process is slow. Normally the process wouldn't occur until maybe the end of this year or beginning of next. Is that going to be the case? Or will it end up happening sooner? I think it could happen sooner. Triple digits for BMNR in Q4? Yeah, easily. Easily. I think BMNR can go to 200. Probably. I mean, they're only a third of the way through their buying. But I think when you combine the price increase of Ethereum and the profits that they're going to see, along with the stacking that they're going to do, along with the premium that they're able to pull in because of Tom Lee, I think they're going to do really well. Hey, guys, treasuries have sucked ass, okay? But I do want to point out that Bitcoin bounced exactly where I fucking said it was going to over the weekend, which is kind of a big deal. Let's see, what else we got here? Anything else interesting? I think that's good enough. There's a bunch of others from Seth. Seth, he did have a good comment here. He said, 4-year cycle, beware. Be aware, not beware. No other 4-year cycle occurred with both tax legislation, tariffs, a 20% intra-year decline in rate cuts in September. So he's saying, yeah, sure, people are talking about how September is a sell the news event, but is that going to happen with tax legislation that's been implemented, tariff revenues that are coming in, 20 intra-year decline in rate cuts into September? Maybe it's not, is what he's saying, right? And I agree with that. And again, China's deflation, guys, it's insane. It's unprecedented, and everybody's buying Alibaba right now, which is fucking hilarious. China's going through economic collapse, a collapse that really started to kick in probably in 2023 to 2024. And yet people are like, oh, dude, China's doing so great. They're doing all the stuff. And also, Kobayashi, again, I like Kobayashi, but this is kind of stupid. The AI revolution is so massive that electricity prices are moving in literal straight line. So I want to be clear. The AI revolution didn't exist in 2021 when we jumped up here. And I can't even really say it existed in 2020, the beginning of 2022. It really didn't when we jumped way the fuck up here. This isn't because of AI. Not that AI isn't dragging up this last leg. Could be, probably is. But because if you look here, this is a 40% increase in electricity prices. Happens to be the same amount that the government ended up printing in our money supply after 2020. Electricity prices are 40% more expensive. Housing prices are 40+% more expensive. Most things are up 40% more expensive. Maybe it was from all the money printing. Maybe it isn't a sign of AI. Not that AI isn't going to demand a lot of electricity. But it's not. This looks like a doomer graph to me, and it's really not that. Also, summer deal haul is highest since record-breaking 2021. So this is M&A activity per Bloomberg, and it's showing that, again, 2022 was kind of the bottom, and here it was 2023 because there's an after effect with like venture capital funds and mergers and acquisitions, but it's been an upticking. So we've got an environment where rates look like they're coming down. We're seeing growth in GDP. We're seeing business activity picking up. We're seeing business registrations picking up. We're seeing mergers and acquisitions picking up. It all looks pretty good to me. Morning all, time to catch up. I just got my Solana Seeker phone. Ah, cool. Let me know how it is, Diseased. I'm really curious. I doubt these will last for long before India caves. And India, we do so little business with India and they do a ton with us. We're their largest market. Not that they don't have others, but we're like almost 10%. It's a lot. All right, real quickly, let's jump into Bitcoin. We got a lot to go through. I said here, I've never seen people this bearish about Bitcoin while we're this close to all-time highs. Let me go. I'm going to go a little. I'm sitting up more. I said, what does that mean? Higher. Everybody's talking tweezer top. First off, it's cutest little tweezers I've ever seen. Little baby tweezers. But we're sitting here on this obvious volume shelf, and there's all this bearishness at a time where we haven't even really fallen. That tells me we're going higher. Everybody's positioned for safety right now. Jesse, have you looked into Ondo? They launched 100 plus tokenized stocks and ETFs on Ethereum today. I love that. Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about some of that in a second. I have not looked into it, though. Not into them as a play for investment. Getting some big BTC candles. I know, right? 11,700. If only somebody would have told you that Bitcoin bottomed right fucking there. Right fucking there. A week ago, almost. 5-6 days ago, I said, this is the bottom. In all fucking caps. How often do I do that? Not very often. You know how many likes I got? Jack shit. Because everybody was bearish. And don't get me wrong, after the treasuries and the way they've been, I kind of get it. I kind of do. Real quickly, first cycle, second cycle, third cycle, fourth cycle, all based on days from the halving. And you look at it, we're in the depth, right? We're in that big trough before we skyrocket to the moon over the next 60 plus days. We also have the Winklevoss twins backing a Bitcoin treasury company, and you think we're bearish. We got Carl Minger. Bitcoin's only 1.7% of globally unbacked fiat. That means 98.3% of the currency supply is still waiting to be disrupted. So he's showing currency, fiat currency, and hard money, Bitcoin and gold. You could throw commodities into some of that too, because, I mean, they kind of are treated the same way. But again, we're tiny, right? It's fucking tiny. Tiny. Also, Glassnode, average Bitcoin supply per whale, entities with 100 to 10,000 BTC has been steadily declining since November of 2024, now sitting at 488 BTC per whale, levels last seen in December of 2018. What's interesting about that is that was the bottom of the bear market after the great 2017 bull run. Also, it just shows that the network is becoming more distributed, not less. We like that. What do we got for comments here? Per Grok, 70% of MSTR gets added to Yeah, so, wow, that's I got to say, my boy Adam Livingston, I love him. He's kind of fucking insane in just the best of ways. I really like the dude. He was talking about S&P inclusion and all the metrics that had been met for S&P inclusion and how he thought it was maybe just kind of a coin flip. I think he assigned it a 60% probability. I was actually really bearish about MSTR being added to the S&P before watching his video. After watching it, I don't know. I'm kind of coin flip now. So are people ready for an S&P inclusion? Also, I called the bottom on MicroStrategy yesterday. Let's just look over here. Or I should say this last week. This right here, guys, this right here, this kind of slowly dropping pattern with a bunch of volume sitting next to it is really bullish. It's really bullish. And don't get me wrong, this is the 3-day. Let me go to the daily and see if we hit the bottom. Yeah, it looks like we probably did, right? And it's a higher low. I think that MicroStrategy has bottomed. And for a while there, I said, hey, I think this thing can go lower. From a technical standpoint, I don't think it's going to. So I'm getting excited about MicroStrategy too. And again, I just think all these Bitcoin treasuries have seen their lows. Losing Crypto said, yes, buy BMNR. It's discounted price with under 1 in MNAV. I don't think it's at under 1, is it? It's close. 1.08 it says on here. I think SBET is under 1. SBET's probably sitting at 0.98. And also, too, guys, these things, all of these Ethereum treasuries came in at the wrong time. Okay? They all came in at the wrong time. And they're still looking at buying. Guys, these numbers, look at this, 4%. Ether Machine only has 4% of what they're looking to allocate. EZ's looking to do a bunch too. They don't have a number in here. FGNX is at 0% allocation with 48,000 Ethereum. Right now, almost 10% of the supply has been caught up by ETFs and Ethereum treasuries. But at the rate they're growing, we could have 25 million Ethereum sitting in treasuries and ETFs in the next several months. I don't think the market is accounting for the fact that 20% of the supply is going to be locked up in treasuries and ETFs. I just don't think they're doing the math on it. That's really exciting. Really exciting. Anyway, let's get back over here. We got Bill Miller, the fourth. You know somebody you should listen to them. They're either too blue blood to listen to because they're borderline retarded, or they're really brilliant when they're the fourth. He says in 20 to 30 years, every company might be a Bitcoin treasury company. I agree with that. 47 seconds. Let's give him a second.
It's my take that in 20 to 30 years, every company might be a Bitcoin treasury company. And the reason for that is what I just mentioned, the underlying protocol for what
I think 5 to 10 max.
We're representing as value is much more stable in Bitcoin than it is with fiat technology. So, we own strategy. You look at the deal that Michael just did with STRC, many times oversubscribed. And what I think is likely to happen moving forward is people are going to look around and the bond managers that are buying the Bitcoin related bonds are going to outperform the ones that don't.
Yes. That is 100% fucking true. Also, we have Coinbase investment chief says the Middle East countries will soon disclose large investments in Bitcoin. I 100% agree. And when the Coinbase investment chief is telling you this, maybe he knows something.
You got these large pools of capital that look around and say, well,
good
God,
job,
am I really going to buy, Bitcoin at 100,000 or 110 or 115 or 120? And even if it goes back to 85, it's like, they haven't been able to do it, but they can go out and buy a stock. And so that's the type of thing that I think you're seeing. They've put money into VCs, but they haven't really come in. So I think that they will, but this to me, this is exciting. It's like, that is exciting. You want a market where you can look out a couple of years and say, yeah, I know who's going to be buying this stuff from me in a few years time at what I think will be substantially higher prices. You want to know who that is. If the answer is you don't really know, you should probably be thinking about selling right now, but there are plenty of people who I think will be buying it at higher prices, but they'll first make bigger and bigger investments in infrastructure. And maybe in the end, maybe they won't hold huge amounts of these tokens. I think that they at least some of them will. And it is possible that crypto to a degree becomes part of some new monetary standard. Not that Bitcoin takes over the dollar, but that it's possible. You see the U.S. talking about a strategic digital asset or Bitcoin reserve, and there certainly are countries around the world in the Middle East who've made large investments that are probably bigger than the ones that they've disclosed. And so it's possible that there even do become some monetary standards that are at least in part backed by crypto, just like they might be backed by gold or other commodities. And so there could be narratives out there I think there probably will be narratives that will ultimately suck some of these big players in at high.
I do. I agree with that. Live and Go Day. Jesse, what do you think about quantum hacking the blockchain in 5 years? Yeah, you know, that exact question was asked to me in 2017, 8 years ago. I think we're fine. Also, quantum resistance is something people are already working on for Bitcoin. So I just don't see where this is a big deal at all. The way the blockchain works, if somebody was able to do something disruptive, worst case, if they weren't proactive with it. And again, here's the thing you need to remember. If people have the ability to hack the Bitcoin blockchain with quantum computing, they could literally dial up into JP Morgan and zero out everybody's bank accounts. They could literally start firing the nuclear codes out of Chinese nukes or the United States. You could hack anything, right? With quantum computing, theoretically, you could hack anything. And there'd be much easier targets than the Bitcoin blockchain. It's just not a thing. It's just not a thing. Just ignore it. It's just a really stupid question. Not from you, but I'm just saying it's something that bears bring up every once in a while, and it's so boring to hear. It's not real. Also on the Bitcoin front, guys, this is super important. The SEC and CFTC have now are permitting select crypto spot tokens, probably Bitcoin and Ethereum for sure, to be registered on the New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ, CBOE, and CME. You're going to be able to trade these things directly on the fucking NASDAQ soon. That's crazy. I don't even think people aren't paying attention to this. This is fucking amazing. We have bigger fish to fry. BTC was hacked by quantum. Yeah, exactly. If it can be hacked, if Bitcoin can be hacked, literally somebody could just turn the nukes on everybody. So it's much bigger things to worry about. But here's the thing, though, because of the fact that it would hard fork, you could fix it, patch it, and then just literally turn off the dead fork chain or let it die, and then just use the new one, which has been patched and fixed. So it's very resilient. I wanted to show this. So this is the amount of Bitcoin shorts that would be liquidated if we hit 120K. Look where all the money is, guys. It's all on shorting Bitcoin. I love that. Balaji says, and I don't like Balaji in regard to China. I think his views of China are very just biased and weird. He reminds me of Arthur Hayes, where he lived in Hong Kong forever, and he just has this beautiful view of China where it's just so much better than the United States. I don't feel that way. I do believe Balaji is more fair on that, though. He said, when fiat is inflated, it slowly goes to zero. When it is frozen, it temporarily goes to zero. And when it is seized, it instantly goes to zero. But hard money cannot be inflated, frozen, or seized. And he's talking about Bitcoin. So, yeah, anyway, with Bitcoin price action, I just want to show this here real quick. So you can see we're on August 26th, 2 weeks ago almost, a week and a half, about 10 days. I said we were going to drop down lower, down to this range, the 107-ish range, and then we would bounce up and go higher, and then we would get ready to break out and go even higher, right? We did that. And then what did I say here? I don't think I can get much more bullish than that. Can I give you guys greater assurances on my projection of whether or not we found the bottom than putting it in all fucking caps and saying, and then some dipshit said, oh, it's a downward line. It could go to zero and you'd still be right. Yeah, you fucking moron. If you don't include a time frame where I said, I don't know if it's a day or 3 weeks, but it's happening. 3 weeks kind of puts a limit on it. And yeah, I think I've been right. And here's what's happening next. It's up, and then maybe we chop for a week or two before the first rate cut. I don't know. I don't know the exact timing of it. We'll see. But then I think we break out even more. And then this is called a falling broadening wedge. It is a bullish pattern. And its measured move puts us roughly to 147,000, which a lot of other technical measured moves put us towards too. BTQQF solving quantum Bitcoin. Yeah, there's always stuff like that. Lol, that's nice, Jesse. Great calls, man. Let's talk about EC. Yeah, EC has sucked, but I think it's easy money. I think it's easy money. These guys are still aggressively working on buying. Let me adjust some targets here. Now I acquired. I don't even know where I acquired, honestly. I'd have to look. Let me see. Let me check real quick. Give me a second. Give me a second. I will look as soon as I figure out how to look on here. EC. Okay, there we are. There we are. I bought at 305. So I'm down like 10% on it. But here's what I love. Here's what I love right here. You have a gap all the way up to here. And so let's just move this up a little bit higher. You have a gap, Bill, that's 67%. So like this is easy money. This is like BMNR when I was talking about that gap fill and I made a bunch of money off of BMNR. It's the same thing. It's an easy gap to the upside. So I think, again, you could do really well off of that. Martin Shkreli said that about quantum. Martin, he's the dumbest fucking asshole on earth. And when I say asshole, he is a special group of people that were willing to fuck people that would die if they didn't have the fucking medications that he was selling and that he jacked up the price, in some cases 100x. So he's a piece of shit. I don't know why anybody would listen to him. All right, let's keep going. China-based AirNet Technologies just bought 819 Bitcoin. Huh, interesting. Adam Back, who I love, Cypherpunk OG, says all companies will be Bitcoin Treasury companies eventually. I agree. Amdax, Bitcoin Treasury, 23.4 million, first round, looking to accumulate Bitcoin. We got Japan, their financial regulator, talking about a 50% tax reduction on BTC and crypto profits. That would be good. That would be good. So again, lots of benefits still for Metaplanet and what they're doing, but then at the same time, it looks like they're trying to embrace more purchasing of Bitcoin, which is smart. Even if you don't have your own strategic reserve, if all your citizens own Bitcoin, ta-da, you're going to benefit. Sol, time to shine. Again, this is just the bullish megaphone pattern. We've got that in a lot of things right now. Sol is one of them. The Godzilla is the best spokesman for EC. Yeah, that's funny. They are cool. We've got almost 1 million Bitcoin that are owned in publicly traded companies. That's pretty awesome. Again, a lot of this is Sailor, but the other 30%, that's starting to come from other areas, and I think that's pretty amazing. At the rate of growth you're seeing from that is great. And this is it. This is that Adam Livingston video. Let me
Good day, everyone. My name is Adam Livingston, and I am the Bitcoin Wizard. Today I'm going to be...
If you guys don't follow Adam, follow him. I'm assuming a lot of you do. He's done really well. He's grown his YouTube to be even larger than mine already. And he just started really taking this stuff seriously a while ago. But he talks about inclusion, and he talks about the measures that have been S&P inclusion criteria. Unadjusted market cap must meet or exceed $22.7 billion. What is MicroStrategy sitting at right now today? 96 billion. So they're good there. Public float, at least 10% of shares must be widely tradable. These guys have so much liquidity. They're huge. They dwarf all this stuff. The public float looks good. Liquidity requirements are insane. Financial viability, GAAP net income must be positive. That looks really good. But again, there's the volatility of the underlying that they could maybe go against. But I mean, the S&P guys, with Trump being so bullish and with the current administration being so positive on Bitcoin, does the S&P look more positively at an MSTR in this current environment? Maybe. Seasoning and structure. Well, they want to make sure that you've been around for at least 12 months. MicroStrategy's been around since the dot-com bubble. Michael Saylor is the longest lasting CEO from that time frame. So I'd say they're pretty good there. And committee discretion, sector balance, corporate actions pipeline. He made the argument that, hey, there's a lot of tech right now in the S&P. Maybe they don't want more risk from the tech sector in the S&P. I don't know if that's going to end up being true or not, but it's interesting. Again, he gave it about a 60% probability. It was a really great video. You should check it out. Let's see here. Just going to see what else. Oh, this is a good one, guys. This is wages in Bitcoin. So U.S. wages priced in Bitcoin have fallen 87% over the last 5 years. Just think about that. If you look at Bitcoin, if you were getting paid in Bitcoin versus the U.S. dollar, guys, you would have way more money right now. Way more. I can try and look at BTBT. It's not really my thing, and I don't know a lot about it. Maybe you could provide some color on why you like it. David Fleming. Jesse, do you think ETH needs to go to the 21-day moving average or moving hours to bottom? Moving hours to bottom. Oh, I don't know. You're talking about Benjamin Cohen, right? You're saying that he thinks that it needs to go down further. I don't know if it does. I do want to say this, though. Could ETH take a pause? Yes, it could. Why do I say that? I don't know that it's going to. Actually, I want to throw that out there first. This is the ETH to BTC ratio right here, right? Or pair, I should say. Whatever, ratio. If you look over here, you can see how we're looking at a trend line. We're breaking out of a resistance line that goes back. I mean, really, depending upon how you're gauging this thing, it goes back to 2017, at least to the top of the last cycle. And we're looking to break out of it. I think that's going to come, but could we grind here for a week or something, or a couple of weeks while Bitcoin does better? I think that's Benjamin Cohen's current thesis or something like it. Maybe. Yeah, it's possible. But I do think it's breaking out, though. I do really think it's going to break out. I think that's going to happen. How are we doing on timing? It's almost 8 o'clock. We don't have, guys, economic data for today. I briefly touched on this earlier. There isn't a lot of good data for us to look at today. We do have some from this morning. We've got mortgage applications. They're down. I mean, not surprising. We've got mortgage rate. It's actually down to 6.64. Let's look at this real quick here. So this is kind of nice, right? The 30-year's been going up, but the mortgage rate is rolling over. Anybody tell me why that is? Huh, interesting. So I would say that this is good, and I would say that this is going to continue to happen, and that the administration's definitely going to work to get this thing down in the 5s, if not 4s, by early part, spring, summer of next year. I think we'll be in the 4s. But outside of that, the mortgage area isn't seeing a lot of love. And this is something else I want to point to. Mortgage refinances have been slowly ticking up, but they're still stupid fucking low. I think that these are going to explode. Why? Because if you can start tapping, again, and I don't know what all counts. I don't know if home equity lines of credit, that kind of stuff count in this particular metric. But I do think that you're going to see massive amount of equity being tapped from the roughly $8 to $10 trillion that are sitting in homes that are paid off, not to mention just ones that have lots of equity that aren't paid off. That number is probably closer to $12 trillion in equity. And again, I think this is just additional juice that people aren't looking at. Hey, Jesse, could you please look at Bit Digital? Yeah, if you can give some flavor. David, 0, yeah, we move an average just using the sad guy. The sad guy. I like Ben Cohen too. He's been right a lot. But my buddy Frank just pointing to the fact that very low liquidity has been a sign of bottoms in Bitcoin's price recently. I agree with that. And again, just large Japanese public company, Def Consulting, announcing a plan to establish a Bitcoin treasury. Can you imagine how many companies in the UK, in Japan, that have runaway 30-year bond yields? How many of them are going to be establishing Bitcoin treasuries? I would say it's a lot. Also, again, just look here, and you know what? I might actually go to Bitcoin Treasury News. This was just for last week. This is the 25th, but look at this. 4 new treasury companies, 16 future treasury announcements, 14 companies added 7,700 Bitcoin. That number, what was it this last week? We had at least 4,000 from MicroStrategy. We had over 2,000 from Metaplanet. So again, we're looking at just another massive weeks where we're doing 450 new Bitcoin a day. And yet at the same time, and so what is that, like over 3,000-ish, or close to 3,000-ish a week. And yet we're pulling 7,000, 8,000 Bitcoin just in treasury companies every week. And then you have ETFs and everything else. So I just think, I don't know, I'm really excited. TechDev_52's chart. I don't know. Have I? Let me look. I'm not sure I know who that is. I mean, I probably know who that is, but I don't know which chart you're referring to. What is this? The Holy Grail. Every chart you need to know about where we are. Oh, he's got like a whole post and a paid newsletter. Yeah, he's just a Bitcoin business cycle, signal 2, business cycle, signal 1. I don't know exactly how he's gauging the business cycle in this, but I do agree with the fact that we're probably looking at an upward trend. But I have not talked about this chart. All right. Anyway, buck around and find out. What is that from? I got to see real quick. It's probably Trump's comment about China. Yeah, it is. Oh, God. Was it this one? Oh, this is so good. If you guys haven't heard this, this was Trump's response to China yesterday. He said, the big question to be answered is whether or not President Xi of China will mention the massive amount of support and blood that the United States gave to China in order to help it secure its freedom from a very unfriendly foreign invader. Many Americans died in China's quest for victory and glory. I hope that they're rightfully honored and remembered for their bravery and sacrifice. May President Xi and the wonderful people of China have a great and lasting day of celebration. Please give my warmest regards to Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un as you conspire against the United States of America. I fucking love it. I mean, I'm sorry, that's amazing. Per Grok, the top 5 potential additions to the S&P on Friday are AppLovin, MSTR, Hood, Vertiv Holdings, and Eris. You know, my bets, what I would like to see are going to be Hood and MSTR. I think they're just the best. This sums it up. Mostly peaceful protest, deserving sovereignty. Yeah, no, that's so true. Anyway, hop out of that. Get back over to our other stuff here. I don't know if there's much more I want to talk about there. Let's jump over to Ethereum. We need to talk about Tesla too. Lots of stuff going on with Tesla. Ethereum, use rising equals positive. So again, we're seeing more transactions on the Ethereum network. That's beautiful. Thank you, Tom Lee. We've got Kraken announced it's bringing tokenized stocks to Ethereum. There seem to be a lot of companies doing that. So we're seeing stocks on the backbone of the Ethereum network. Again, Robinhood did this too, I think, with Arbitrum. And you guys were just talking about Ondo. So this seems to be a prevailing theme. Let's keep going. We've got Crypto Gucci said tokenized real-world assets are projected to hit $16 trillion by 2030. Currently in 2025 at $3.1 trillion we're seeing on here. That's, 5-6x growth. I think it could actually be higher than that, but that's great. Strategic ETH reserve news today. This is from yesterday, but it shows ETHZilla to put $100 million into ETH. Ether Machine adds 150,000 ETH. BitMiner adds 74,284. SBET acquires 39,000. And Yongfeng Financial, co-founded by Jack Ma, buys 10,000. So lots of interesting Ethereum news. My buddy Mike Alfred said when Ethereum goes to 6,000 or 8,000, again, I think that's kind of that conservative 7,000-ish range target, BMNR and SBET will run like MicroStrategy did last fall. You don't have to like any of this, but it will happen anyways. I agree. Thank you, Mike Alfred. Ether Machine buys another 150,000. Again, just awesome. This is a great chart. Tom Lee had another video, guys, talking about from his chairman role with BitMiner. This is one of the slides that really sticks out. You've got MicroStrategy's accumulation in billions or millions of dollars, right? For a total of 8.979 billion that Bitmine had done here. It took MicroStrategy almost over 1,200 days, almost 1,300 days to get to $9 billion worth of Bitcoin. Bitminer has done it in a month-ish, 5 weeks. 5 weeks? 6 weeks? Oh. Seems like a big deal. And then again, Merlin the Trader, altcoin market cap says one thing, expansion. So again, this was the bear trap. This is the bear trap, right? Right before the expansion into the final part of the bull market. what is normally the final part of the bull market. And we said that we had $12 billion getting ready to get liquidated for Bitcoin. Well, we got 7.5 getting ready to get liquidated for Ethereum. I think that's good. It's not as lopsided on this one, though, which is probably why Bitcoin's going up first. And then I just wanted to point out Ethereum had its second highest monthly candle ever. And this is a great series of candles, guys. Look at this. Boom, 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 boom. A little bit of consolidation before a mega boom into October, maybe. I think so. I kind of agree with Benjamin Cohen. I think maybe it's October. And then I wanted to talk about this. Everybody's been so bearish on Bitcoin. But guys, can you see the pattern here? What happened? This is at the exact same day, right? This is near the 11th of July. Early first week of July, Ethereum goes straight up. And in that time, Bitcoin consolidates. So this is just math working out. It's not that everybody's bearish on Bitcoin. It's just that some people were dialing up the risk curve towards Ethereum where they think they could make a little more money. And again, we already saw Solana doing that too. I want to talk about Solana today. I mean, Jesus, what is Solana doing today? Solana looks like it, again, it's ready to go. This looks pretty ready to go to me, guys. I mean, look at this. We're not at our highest level since January of 2025, but we're getting close. So, I mean, it's been a year, and we're finally getting ready to see a breakout in Solana. And again, this is a much smaller cap. It's $112 billion, which is just fucking tiny as shit when compared to the $530 billion Ethereum or the $2.4 trillion Bitcoin, right? Or 2.15 trillion, sorry. Mike says, per Eric Trump, American Bitcoin is debuting on the NASDAQ today, ABTC. Yeah, that's crazy. That's probably going to do well. I'm not going to touch it, though. History Guy Scalps, think that if we break strong support, 105, when we retest, no, we're not doing any of that. Yeah, no, none of that's happening. If you're looking for those kind of lows, you're just not going to see them. We're not doing that. I already called the low. That's what it's going to be. And if you're sidelined a bunch, like, you're going to miss out. Also, this is a great interview, guys. I need to do more summaries of some of these interviews. Really great interview from Tom Lee. I don't even with Mario Knopfel. Again, this is the one I think I set up. My boy Tom Lee, I should say Mario's team reached out to me to get a hold of Tom Lee, and I passed the message on to Tom Lee, and a week later, he's doing an interview with Mario. So I think I played a part in this, and I love that. Do I own Solt? No, I didn't. I don't. I sold out of that. It's doing really great, though. Up 4.49% in pre-market. It could lead, the 2X could lead the treasuries, but I'm seeing all right on the treasuries. It looks like DFDV is up 2.2%. And Upexi is up 2.9. Solt has outperformed, but I do think the treasuries are going to end up exploding higher. I really do. But yeah, I was happy to help facilitate this. If this was me, that was cool. Definitely not sidelined, fully invested. Okay, cool. Let's see here. I probably need to keep moving. But again, just showing how we've done. This is a little bit old. This is from the 23rd. Oh, this is him talking to me too. Love it. But again, just you can see Solana and ETH starting to ramp up. And if we look more recently here, let me just pull this over and get a live view. 1 second. Got to drag it over. I'm going to go back. It's up by day right now, but let's just change this to a week or a month. I think the month is probably the best. Look at this. We're seeing outperformance now in Solana taking the lead. We're seeing XRP being a piece of shit, exactly where it belongs. The consolidation in BTC, but I would argue that at the expense of BTC, Solana and Ethereum are skyrocketing higher. And again, 2.15 trillion. And then you got Ethereum, which is a fraction of that. It's only like you'd have to 5x to get to BTC size. And then you've got Solana, which is a fraction of, it's $113 billion market cap. So it's like a 5x to get to Ethereum size. So you got a lot of upside. There's a lot of upside in all this. A lot of upside. Hopefully you're playing some of it and going to be able to benefit from it. All right. You know, BTC bottomed when Jesse called it. When I use all caps, you know it. Real quickly, I want to jump over. I'm going to talk about Tesla, and then we're going to look at other stuff. So I love this. So the fuck you Elon people at Burning Man, somebody hung up a love. And there's another picture I want to show here too. This is also funny. If you look in the back, they've got the fuck you Elon thing. The password is like Daddy Elon, and they're using Starlink to get the internet. I just love the hypocrisy of all that bullshit. My buddy Gally is a stud. He was bullish on Tesla when it was him and Cathie Wood, man. Back before Ross Gerber became a dipshit. But he said prediction markets are expecting Tesla to deliver 501,000 vehicles in Q3. That would be their best quarter ever. So the narrative is that Tesla's having a horrible quarter for sales. That's not the truth, though. GM down 1%. If this were Tesla, it would probably collapse the stock. So this is funny. Mary Barra sold 40% of her holdings in GM. 40%. She dumped her fucking stock. Hopefully she's smart and she bought Tesla. I put no company is even close to having the impact that Tesla will have on the future of mankind. This is from Ragnar, just showing their trucking, their robots, their manufacturing, their AI compute, their industrial batteries, their solar, their home batteries, their home charging, their electric vehicles, their robo-taxis, and their charging network. I don't understand how anybody could be bearish this company. You got to be retarded. You got to be a Ross Gerber. Also, in this latest video that they played, which was amazing, we're looking at maybe mini mega packs, which is great. This would be great for like things where you don't have a really huge industrial application, but maybe you have smaller manufacturing applications, and you need to make sure that you have 100% uptime. Small mega packs are going to rock. Also, you got a Cybervan. I hope it looks like that one. I don't know. I've shown you guys it a few times. I hope it looks like that in the Cyber SUV. But I put this out here too, and I'm this is real. I really believe this, and I feel this way. This is the way if I don't make any more dollars from here and I just barely survive, I'm cool with that. I want my capital to go to Tesla. Sustainable abundance for all is the future I want to see. And I'm going to be just adding tons of my portfolio, maybe 50% of my portfolio to Tesla by the end of this year. Hopefully that's $5 million plus, because I want to support this vision. And in the process, if I make money, fucking awesome. But I just want to give my capital to Elon Musk. I want to help him with all of his endeavors. And again, we're seeing expansion just at insane rates, guys. So many good things. If you think that Elon Musk, when he's got mini lasers that travel 4,000 kilometers to help successfully connect other systems to the Starlink network constellation, if you think that, and to speed it up, if you think that this man doesn't know what he's doing, I don't know what to tell you. He's just way smarter than all the rest. And we got Waymo still running into shit. We've got polls that show that 97% of people either don't know or think that LiDAR is better. We're just really ahead of the curve. I hope you guys realize that. I hope you understand how great that's going to be in the years ahead. And you even got Barron saying, don't look now, but Tesla stock is ready for a rip-roaring rally. I mean, things are just getting better for Tesla. Wow, just caught up live right now. That was a trip listening to Jesse 2X while dealing with other distractions. Love the Tesla holders. Jesse, I have 2 to 3% cash, invest in MSTX or TSLL. I don't really like the MSTX fund, but I do think MicroStrategy could do better. I would actually probably put it in like BMNR or maybe like Metaplanet, SWC, something like that. I would do that instead. Because it's just a good multiplier. And this is a good time to get into multipliers. Alex Garcia, James from Invest Answers plans to have 50% Tesla portfolio. Oh, I didn't know that. I haven't listened to him as much because we're both busy doing our own things. But that's awesome. I think he's a really smart dude. All right, I want to talk about this. Just a lot of wins happening right now with Trump. So Washington, D.C. mayor immediately requires all Metro police to coordinate with federal officers. It says forever, but that's a loose term. No expiration, basically. After President Trump's takeover was a major success in lowering crime on a large scale. So again, this mayor has switched and flipped from saying like, oh, this is all fucked up, to this is really great and we welcome it and we're going to work with them and we appreciate it. Also, Geiger Capital says American taxpayer dollars at work. This is us blowing up a dozen or so Tren de Aragua members, or I'm sorry, MS-13, I think in this case, from Venezuela, who were trying to transport probably fentanyl and other drugs into the United States. We just fucking torched them. And we're also, I believe, Guyana has one of the largest oil reserves in the world that was discovered off their coast, and they're to the east of Venezuela. Venezuela has started to make territorial claims on their waters now and part of their land that they've had arguments going back a while. So I think we're dual faceted. We're trying to hurt the regime of Maduro and trying to maybe overthrow it. But at the same time, I think we're trying to establish a relationship with Guyana and let them know we want to build out your oil reserves and we'll protect you. And we're taking out these pieces of shit at the same time. So I think it's just a win-win-win. Also, I think this is hilarious, but I think it's true. Trump will be adding a portrait of Joe Biden's auto pin to his presidential wall of fame in the newly renovated White House Rose Garden. It's going up in about 2 weeks, says Trump. Can you guys imagine this? Can you imagine that? I just think that's fucking hilarious. Also, former Milwaukee Police Department employee Marcy Patterson has been criminally charged with election fraud in Wisconsin. Something the left says that never happened in Wisconsin, a swing state, right? Breaking, up to 600 military lawyers have just been authorized to serve as immigration judges in an effort to speed up mass deportations per the Pentagon. So Hegseth was talking about this too. Essentially, we're going to use these guys in order to be able to speed up this process, and I think that's beautiful. I think that's a beautiful thing. Gerber just going off on Tesla. Ha ha ha. Damn, that dude is terrible. He's an idiot. James is rotating from MicroStrategy to Tesla already and has been. Yeah, that's smart. Again, so this is Lisa Cook. They actually went to a house where people are renting. So again, she put down that this was her third primary residence in like a period of a month or two where she did all these loans and refinanced and did all this shit. And there's people living here. So Lisa must be living. Which means she's making money off of these renters, and she lied. She lied, and she's not going to have a job. And again, Trump has control of the Fed now. Walter Bloomberg, we have just received video proof. Yep, that's that. This guy who towed away an ICE vehicle while they were arresting somebody has been tracked down. He could serve 10 years in prison. I'd say that's winning for Trump now. So be a dick to ICE agents. Say goodbye to your life. Well, that sucks for Canada. Looks like the USA wins. What is this about? Ontario banned U.S. alcohol. One sec. That was my daughter getting ready to go to school. Got to tell her I love her. She goes a little later now because she's in middle school now. But breaking, Ontario banned U.S. alcohol sales in April. Today, Canadian Crown Royal Bottler announced it's shutting down its Ontario plant and moving operations to the United States. So you'll be able to buy your Crown Royal made in the USA. And I put, yes, Donald Trump's goal is to intimidate people who are looking to illegally vote in elections. We've got about 9 minutes until the bell tolls. You caught us red-handed. So here's this dipshit from Illinois talking about how it's going to be tough. Well, he doesn't say it, but essentially it's going to be tough for illegal immigrants to vote in the election. And you're right, it is. Robert Sterling, I think I touched on this earlier. It says black women were 25% of employees at the Department of Education and the IRS, despite being 6% of the overall labor force. Seems like a class action discrimination lawsuit waiting to happen. This is good. Let's sue these people. We don't need to put people in because they match a certain skin color. That's called racism. Trump, India offered to cut their tariffs to nothing. India's tariff cut offer, it's getting late. So he's saying, hey, you offered this at one point. Why aren't you doing it? Again, we're going to lean on them. We got the 50% tariff increase. We're going to keep that in place. And it's going to hurt them. It's not going to benefit them. And they can cuddle up to China all they want. But you've seen, I show you all the time how their economy is collapsing. It doesn't matter if the stock market pumps for another week or 2 weeks or a month. It doesn't matter. Their economy is collapsing. And do you want to hitch your wagon to Russia, a country that has let way too many of their people die, young men that should be having babies and helping the demographics of their economy, on top of all the ones that left the country, with a war that's going nowhere and making no progress for them whatsoever? Do you want to buddy up with Russia, this failing state that I think is going to collapse between now and the beginning of next year if they don't start buddying up to the United States, and then China, another country that I think is literally pushing itself towards collapse right now? Do you want to do that, or do you want to work with the United States, a country that's getting a bunch of investment dollars, that's making all the right decisions, and that looks like they're getting ready to pop? I know which one I want to do. Also, are we going to Chicago? Is Trump going to Chicago? Are we getting the guard in there? Yes, we fucking are. Why are we doing that? Here's why.
In Chicago, everybody got to get down. Everybody got to get down because they shoot. Everybody down.
Why are they down? Because people can't have fun in Chicago, because he threw a yellow flag and people didn't like it, and then they started shooting each other. Welcome to Chicago. I think that maybe it's time to have some safety in Chicago. And I think the best thing to happen, I've said this a bunch of times, for blacks in the United States is to have safety and to have areas of their cities where they don't have to worry about getting shot, and they don't have to worry about getting robbed, and they don't have to worry about getting carjacked, and where they feel like their kids are safe going to school, and where they feel like their kids can get an education instead of turning into a fucking drug dealer. This is what BLM should stand for. This is what Jesse Jackson and all these fucking old timers who pretend like they're there for blacks, this is what they should be doing. They should be encouraging safety, because I think if you have safety is a foundation for a prospering society. If you don't have it, you're fucked. And these guys, they just want to play football. So let's let them do that. There's a bunch more in here, but I mean, again, on CNN, it is crazy to hear this. Listen to this. This is on CNN.
One of the big things is it helps decide congressional maps.
Right.
Does this have everything to do with redistricting?
Well, it does. In fact, we know the 2020 census, the errors were almost always to the detriment of red states. Blue states like Rhode Island.
Do we know that?
We do.
Do we know that?
Know that the Census Bureau's own audit of its work has proven that blue states like Rhode Island were overcounted. Rhode Island then didn't lose a seat. Red states like Alabama were undercounted. Listen, this is just a fact. It wasn't all red blue, but.
So guys, there's a huge shift happening right now. Not only is gerrymandering happening across Republican states that haven't really focused on that. That's been more of a Democratic thing, especially in the state of California. So we're gerrymandering districts to get more House seats. I think we'll pick up at least 10 to 20, maybe 30. But then at the same time, we're going to make it to where illegals can't vote in the elections because of the presence of the National Guard and other federal agencies to ensure that votes are actually real. And then at the same time, we're going to have the census fix a lot of stuff. I think we're going to see a lot of red votes here in the not too distant future. I also love this. And again, some people don't like JFK Jr. They're doctors or whatever, and they said that he was bad for vaccines, whatever. I think there were a lot of other problems with vaccines before that. I think the biggest thing that's made it to where people don't want vaccines is COVID. This leftist agenda where they said that all these kids had to take them, and people have the complications from that are well documented. I think what RFK Jr. is talking about, publishing all of the protocols and not trusting the experts, is brilliant, and I think we should do more of that. I also love that we're talking about putting a bunch of government-related data on the blockchain. I love that a founder of Black Entertainment Television is donating fucking money to a Republican now. I love this. I think it's great stuff. And again, we've got scandals in Michigan after state Republican lawmakers found that 4,277 phantom jobs were created and funded by Democratic leaders. You guys realize what a scandal is? $5 billion in fraud. These people don't exist. They don't exist, and they're getting paid. Where's the money fucking going? And again, you can tell that Democrats are suffering right now because you've got voter registration. I don't know where that just went, but it moved on me. Voter registration has fallen off a cliff. Oh, here we go. It's fallen off a cliff. Look at all these states. 20 to 2024, down 2.1 million voters. And that's before 2025. Now, they're trying to get up their voter registration numbers again. But again, I think it's going to be really hard to have any positive numbers with the setup that we're looking at that I just talked about. Metaplanet has upper hand, I think. I think Metaplanet's going to do well. I don't know how they do initially this morning. There might be a little bit of down because they're down in the German market and they were down last night in the Japanese. And maybe they tapped that ass on the ATM, right? But, SWC's up 17.2% in the UK right now. That's crazy today. But I think that without them tapping the ATM, maybe SWC and Metaplanet are going to be doing really well here. I don't think he won without Elon, and not even close. I think that Elon was huge. I think Scott Pressler was huge. I think everybody that fought hard. I think J.D. Vance as a vice president with his debate against dipshit from Minnesota, Tim Walz. I think everybody helped. Everybody helped. We can give them all credit. Let me see here. Anything else we want to talk about? I don't know if there's a lot more. Sequoian's passed Smarter Web Company in position. They're like crazy low. So I think that one could still do well. I don't even know what they're sitting at right now for their NAV. Let me see here. Let me refresh this. I think they should be ahead of, let's see here. Yeah, they're ahead now of Smarter Web. And I think these guys, can I not click on that one? I thought you could click on these. Yeah, there we go. All right. They've got, so these guys, they slowed down on the stacking right through here in August, but it looks like they're starting to pick it up again. And their MNAV is like stupid fucking low. I don't even know what it is, what it said on the screen, but it's low. It's real low. It's real low. That's not right. Anyway. People with kids will understand the no crime thing. Yeah, dude. I don't know how you have kids and you don't want a safer future for your children. Let's see here. Did we get more economic data? Oh, out of Brazil. Brazil had a better services PMI and a better composite PMI. Cool. Still in contraction. Again, though, at 9 o'clock, we'll get more data. I'm probably not going to be around for that. I don't even know if I'll stick around much longer. If you guys have questions, let me know. I guess the bell's ringing right now. Let me see here. Probably pull up some stuff. So that was the pre-market. We got Tesla up 1.77. And again, I showed the chart. Actually, it looks really good. We'll switch this. This will take a little bit to update, I think, for percentage-wise. It's like a minute delay or something. So that's what we saw yesterday. BABA doing well and a bunch of American stuff doing like shit. But that should refresh shortly. And again, I think today probably an up day. We'll see. I do agree with Tom Lee that I think September can be a lot better than people realize. Looks like TSWCF. That does look good. Let's just look at this, guys. I really feel like we bottomed on TSWCF. I mean, look at this. From the bottom, guys, we are now up 41%. Anybody who bought the bottom of the dippity dip yesterday on SWC has made 41% on their money. And again, conservatively, guys, I believe that 410 and 582 are very conservative numbers for where this thing can get to. I actually think it gets to its previous high, which is 467%. So I'm down, I want to say like not even like close to 50%, maybe 40% on this one right now. It's not great. I definitely got my ass, like I got in over here in the twos, right? Like up over here. So I'm down like probably 45% right now. But it takes 90% to be able to get back to where I was. And then I have the rest of that upside. So 467% would more than make up for my loss. Jesse, could you take a look at ETH silver pair chart? Yeah, I did pull that up. I don't know if it tells me much. I did pull it up. Let me see if I got it over here. BTC, not that one. I had it somewhere. I don't even know where I have it right now. Yeah, I don't know where I have it right now, so I probably won't pull it up. It looks pretty similar, though, to the ETH BTC pair, where it looks like it's nearing a breakout zone. Metaplanet down 6, down 8. Yeah, that's possible. It's probably just a reflection of what happened in the Japanese market and the German market overnight. Again, in Japan, it was down 6.21%. There is a gap, actually, that could fill. Actually, it might be right now. Let's take a look. Yeah, part of it did. Whoa, hey, this is great. So it looks like, and I'll have to adjust this, but it looks like we might be filling that gap, or at least kind of ending the last of it. So we've closed a shit ton of gaps now on Metaplanet. And so I don't know if this is going to go fully down to here. It might. But I think maybe this has the flush out that SWC had. This didn't drop as much. It's only down 65% from its high, whereas SWC dropped like 90% or some shit now. It's way lower. So maybe we fill that gap. We're real close, dude. We're real close. Look at that. Like, there's just a sliver left in this gap. There's another one down here. The ultimate, most bearish fucking take you can have on Metaplanet is that it closes this gap down at 441. So if it does that, let's just see where we're at right now and how much further down that is. That is about 18% downside versus what I believe. Let's just do this here real quick. And this is with me. The tops here are going to be a little weird because this is with me saying that it's going to drop even further than it is right now to close that gap, which it looks like it might. So again, the thing about this is that I don't know. It still looks like we're going to make hundreds of percent. Just to get to the previous all-time high, you're looking at a 200% gain. The Fibonacci extension is 300%. And then by some freak of nature, it's between this 300 and 500% if we just get some crazy numbers on Bitcoin. I would honestly probably stop at the 300%, though. That would put the cap on this thing to, what, $16 billion. I don't think that's a crazy number, though. We've got Mark Benioff talking. Huh, I wonder what he's saying. Let me just take a look. I might listen to him. I like Mark. Let's see how we're doing on the rest of the market, though. Yeah, okay. So, again, Google and Apple doing really well. Tesla doing all right. Looks okay. Looks like communications are getting hit. Energy and minerals are getting hit. Baba's getting hit a little bit today. Nothing too crazy. Gotta save some of these charts. Sequoian calls are pumping. Good. Maybe people are actually starting to get some faith. Sequoians did drop really hard, dude. Really, really hard. So we'll see how that does. Yeah, but I think it does look like we're going to close that gap. So I'm just going to mark that gap as closed. I think it's done. So yeah, we got the gap closed, essentially, and then we got one other gap underneath, and downside from here is about 17%. BMNR is up. Yep, it's up 2%. SBET's up 0.6. ETHZ is up 1.5. SWC in the UK is up 13.5. In the US, it is what? 8%? I mean, it's better than yesterday. Again, just look at this. This is such a huge bounce, guys. This is like when you've washed out. This is when, like, okay, the low is in. So that looks good. And again, Metaplanet's still sitting around that 8% drop. But I think that's going to be good for them too. I think it's good for them too. I really do. I might get some more. Especially if there are other treasuries that I have lower conviction in. I might get some more. We'll see. I might just chill too. Anyway, I can't seem to get my video planned for Mark Benioff, so I'm probably going to call it here. I do appreciate how many people did we have here today. Let's see how many people we had here today. Peak. Hey, almost 1,000. I'll take it. 988. I'll take it. That was good. If you guys could hit the like before you exit, that would be greatly appreciated. Majestia just caught up at 2.5x. At what price are you looking to add BMNR and SBET? I'm not. I'm in. I'm in. I mean, I wouldn't. If you don't own any, I think now is a really good time to own it. Not financial advice, but like, yeah, no, I'm in. I'm in, man. Also, ARC Genomics. I want to point this out. This is looking kind of cool. Let's look over here. So again, guys, we're above peak volume for the entirety of the ARC Genomics fund. And looking like we're ready to go higher. I would argue that this could be like a left shoulder head. Maybe we get up here to the 27 range, grind for a minute, and then go higher. If that's true, we have just another measured move on top of a measured move, which could be interesting. Oh, I don't want to do that. Let's put you back. I accidentally did that. All right. I wanted to do this. I wanted to adjust this because I want to see what that kind of move would look like if that is true. So if I'm right about what we're doing here, we could see a measured move all the way up into the 40s. That would make me so much fucking money. Metaplanet bleeding again. Yeah, but it closed that gap. So that's good. It closed that daily gap. So there's only one left, and there's 17% downside to that. So I think you're looking at 17% downside versus 200-300 up pretty easily. So I think that's a good risk to reward ratio. Though ETH is going to do a retest to 21. Yeah, people keep saying that. I don't know that it has to. I think there's so much buying pressure on ETH. But yeah, I'm liking ARC Genomics, guys. I could see a really good pop in ARC Genomics that could make us a lot of money between now and the end of the year or beginning of next. I've got calls to go to 2027 on this bitch, at least December 2026, I think. I think I'm in 2027 now too. Timber 654, are the CleanSpark and Mara positions you're in options or shares? Options. And they were utterly butchered, but I think they're starting to come back. Let's look real quick here. I think that the opportunity here is starting to come back. CleanSpark is talking about doing HPC. I think that's going to be huge for them. I think that could really cause them to take off. You can see where they're above peak volumes here. They bounced perfectly off of it, and didn't establish a new low. So I think CleanSpark still gets up here to the 35 range, and I think eventually what happens is I think Iron starts to underperform. Let's look at Mara real quick, because Iron's done really good. And again, the fundamentals could correct that. If Mike Alfred knows something I don't, I think he's on the board of Iron, or at least affiliated with it, then who knows. But again, peak volumes over here, guys, we're above that with Mara too. I think with Mara, we still can get up to the 40s. I don't think that's crazy. You got to realize Mara's market cap is smaller than Iron right now. Iron is almost an $8 billion market cap. This one's only $6 billion. So there's room to run. I think Iron can go into the 40s, though. But again, that's less upside than what we're looking at for CleanSpark and Mara. Especially CleanSpark. CleanSpark is such a small cap, guys. If CleanSpark starts to benefit in some way, and I'm not saying it's Iron. Iron's out-executed them. Even though in the Bitcoin side of things, CleanSpark is has done a great job, right? It's done a great job. It's just Iron's done better. But if you look over here, if they get that kind of bump in narrative, they're only a $2.73 billion cap. So it is not crazy at all for it to jump 237%. That's just saying that it's at the market cap that Iron's at right now. And if Iron can double or even triple its market cap, then why can't this thing go up a lot, especially if we get into a speculation stage when we're at $140,000 Bitcoin or 150. Responded, said, thank you. Love our team and community. Good luck to all. Long Tesla, BMNR, SBET, MicroStrategy, ETH, Iron, looking for group. Awesome, man. Love you, brother. Yeah, but I think I'm probably going to call it, guys. So again, I would just say stay positive and stay bullish. This is definitely not the time to get bearish. If you were going to do that, you probably should have done it like a month ago. That would have been better timing. Anyway, yeah, I'm excited. I think good things are going to happen. We'll see what happens with markets. And again, if we meander for a couple of weeks, you could literally just go on hikes. I gotta work on painting and all this stuff that's happening around my house and finishing a 4-season porch from a 3-season porch. So I'll be doing all that today and hiking and enjoying my life. I encourage you guys to do the same. Just get out and enjoy yourself. Ignore a lot of the noise and ignore the price action, and just be ready to make a lot of money in the days ahead. Do you still consider IRA a BTC miner? Yeah, kind of. I mean, they still have a hell of a hash rate. They're just a well-diversified play, right? They're doing HPC and making a lot of revenue off of that, and we'll see when that market becomes too saturated. They're probably one of the best still. They're probably, even with the current valuation being 3x CleanSpark, they're probably still one of the best. All right. Anyway, I love you guys. All right. I'll talk to you later. I will see you.